If you're thinking about moving to Austin, Texas in the next 6 to 12 months, the biggest question I hear from most of my clients is, should I buy new construction or should I buy a resale home? Austin's real estate market is super unique in general, and the choice between new construction versus resale homes can make a huge difference in your experience, your long-term investments, and also your timeline, of course. Whether you are relocating to the Austin market, looking to buy your first home, or just upgrading to a larger home for you and your family, understanding these different options can really help set you on the right pace, and understanding the difference between these directions can really help you plan better and waste less time. So in today's video, I'm going to compare and contrast the pros and cons of new construction versus a resale home. And when I say new construction, that means both building a home from ground level up or purchasing an inventory home from one of the builders. So that would be a home that's already been built but is still considered brand new. I'm also going to cover a lot about option periods, inspections, builder incentives, earnest money, differences in location, and everything else you need to be considering before you make this move out here to Austin. Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brigid Schlegel. If you are new here, I am a real estate agent in Austin, Texas, and some of the surrounding areas. I work a lot with people trying to relocate to Austin, Texas, or buy their first home, or even sometimes investors looking to do an investment property for fix and flip or buy and hold rentals. If you'd like to start your home search or just talk more about strategy in the market here in Austin before you really actually dig in and start touring homes, let's book a call together. You can find a link down in the description below to access my calendar, and I look forward to speaking with you there. I've also got a link down in the description below where you could see all of the new construction homes that are available in Austin, Texas today. There's over 4,000 new construction properties, so there's tons of homes all over Austin that are worth taking a look at and seeing the different options. You can also see on that link different builder incentives for each development, and it's super interesting to see how it varies, but also it's a great tool to actually see just new construction and not have it mixed in with all the resale homes on the market too. Other than that, let's get into this comparison of new construction versus resale homes. So first topic to compare is going to be location and proximity to some of the key hotspots of Austin, Texas, such as downtown Austin, Zilker Park, Lady Bird Lake, all of the things that Austin has to offer in the more central parts of town. Pretty much you're going to find that resale properties are going to offer you a lot more location flexibility because it covers more ground. You can get closer to some of those hotspots when you're looking in resale markets. However, if you're targeting more affordable new construction homes, they tend to be in subdivisions or master plan communities on the outskirts of Austin, Texas. Easton Park, for example, is down here in the southeast corner of Travis County. This is a new construction neighborhood that I actually live in myself, but we do have a bit of a commute to get to downtown. It's about 20-25 minutes depending on traffic. So that is one of the compromises that we made when we were finding a new home here in Austin, is that to get something that was in our desired price range without spending too much, and also getting something that's new and never lived in, we did have to compromise with a little bit further drive time. There's also some wonderful newer construction in the north part of town, all the way up into Williamson County. You'll find some great communities in Leander, Georgetown, Liberty Hill. There are tons of new construction up there that the builders will give you fantastic incentives on in many cases, but of course you do have a little bit further drive time than if you were finding something that's closer to downtown. Now, that's not to say that there aren't any new construction in the more central parts of Austin, Texas. There definitely is. However, the tendency is that they will most likely be more of a custom build in single or double lots, or sometimes just smaller communities, townhomes. It's a different type of construction, and usually they're more of a one-off overall rather than the standard subdivision that you might find more on the outskirts. And that's a generalization. It does vary across Austin too, of course. Now, next topic to compare is going to be option periods. Whenever you're buying from a resale home, your realtor will use a 1 to 4 family TREC contract. That is a standard promulgated form for Texas to purchase a single family residence. And in that form, the buyer and seller can negotiate on an option period. That option period gives a buyer an unrestricted right to terminate for whatever reason. That option period is also a good chance for buyers to complete their due diligence by getting any inspections completed necessary and potentially even renegotiating terms based on what they find in those inspections. So in any resale transaction, that's going to be super common to be able to have that option period with an out for the buyers, essentially, for whatever reason necessary, or also just an extra chance to renegotiate the sale before things become more serious and their earnest money goes hard. However, whenever you're buying new construction or from a builder, they're going to typically use their own builder contracts, and these do not typically include an option period. I'll never say never, but in most cases, a builder's not going to offer buyers an option period that gives them an unrestricted right to terminate. Essentially what that means is once you sign, your earnest money is going to be due pretty much immediately, and it is also going to be non-refundable unless perhaps there is still an additional financing contingency and loan approval. All this means is once you sign for a new construction home, you are committed and you're risking that earnest money if you were to terminate before the closing. This is also just another reason that even though you might be buying from a new construction, it is still good to have a real estate agent who is on your side and representing your best interests to review that contract and make sure that nothing is missed or overlooked. The building reps or sales reps that you see at model homes, although they are often amazing people and I have good relationships with a lot of them, it's just good to note that they're essentially there representing the builder. They're not going to be representing you in that transaction. So they will help facilitate the sale and make sure everything runs pretty smoothly in many cases. However, it's still good to have somebody on your side to look through all that paperwork and make sure that nothing is overlooked, and make sure that you fully understand the costs, make sure that you fully understand the timelines and all of the in-betweens. Next topic is going to be inspections. So in any case, you should be allowed to still do an inspection before you purchase a home. However, it still differs between the resale and a builder in how that process works. Again, with resale homes, you get to have that option period, and during the option period, you can get your inspections done and terminate if you don't like what you find. However, with new construction homes, it is still highly recommended to get a third-party inspection done. However, with new construction homes, even though it should be perfect, right, because it's a beautiful brand new home, it is still highly recommended that you hire a third-party inspector to take a look at the work and pretty much just be petty for you and point out all of the minor flaws, or actually bring attention to any critical, more serious issues with the home if there are any. The difference here is that because there's no option period, a builder, most likely that contract is going to state something along the lines of they are not required to make repairs based on the findings of your third-party inspection, and also that they don't have to repair it before closing. So there's no contingency on the results that you find in that inspection. However, in many cases, the builder still wants to do good service, so I do find that they will address many of the things that you bring to their attention before closing. It's just not guaranteed. So that leads me into the next topic, which is going to be home warranties, right? So when you're buying from a resale property, you can actually negotiate in the contract that the seller may cover a few $100s worth of a home warranty. And usually that's just for a 1-year warranty, covers appliances, covers the majors of the home, only if it is new issues, not pre-existing issues from before you bought the house. However, it's an optional thing. You don't have to get a home warranty. I only see it in probably 50-60% of cases because sometimes the sellers don't want to pay for it and buyers don't want to pay for it either. I recommend doing it because why not have that extra coverage? It's not that high of a cost just to have a little bit extra coverage for, you know, if you're living there for 3 months and the dishwasher has an issue, might as well take advantage of that at that stage. However, when you work with builders, they're going to typically have a much longer plan for home warranties, and that's going to be typically strongest during the first year. They're going to have almost a full service Like for this house, we have a portal where pretty much any minor request we have, we send it through there, they take care of it within a few days. It's been great. However, they're also going to have a structural and foundation warranty that can be much longer, sometimes 5, 7, 10 years. So that is something that if you care a lot about making sure that those things are covered, oftentimes going with a new home is going to serve you better in those cases. Next topic then is going to be earnest money, which is going to be a little bit quicker and easier to explain. Essentially, in resale homes, we typically have it set at 1% of the sales price. Unless you'd like to offer more, of course, that's always an option, because the more earnest money you offer, the stronger that offer is going to sound to the seller, right? Because that means you're putting a little bit more skin in the game. However, when you purchase from a builder, the builder can set their earnest money, and that can vary a lot from just being 1% of the purchase price to sometimes being a flat rate of $5,000, $7,500, something that's 1 to 3% of the purchase price. It can definitely vary a lot more, and it may even change between buying an inventory home versus buying a new home that needs to be constructed from the ground up. Next topic would be timeline and flexibility. Resale is simple. If it's a standard single family home, you're looking at closing timeframes of sometimes anywhere between 20 days to 45 days. 30 days is typically what I put on the contract, but it can vary. In most cases, if everything's going smooth and all parties are doing their part, oftentimes we can get things done under that 30-day timeline. However, that's mostly going to be tied to your financing contingency, making sure that the buyer's approved for the loan and that the house passes the loan approval as well via the appraisal. Then new construction, of course, can vary a lot. If you are buying an inventory home from a builder, that's what we did. Again, we just bought an inventory home. This house was move-in ready. We liked it. We signed the contract. We had keys 30 days later. However, if you're building a home to your specific standards, those can span anywhere between 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, or if you're doing an even more custom home, those can take a lot longer depending on the location, permitting, and of course the contractors involved as well. The hard part about the timeline for building your own home is that if there are delays, either from weather, which is very common here in Austin, or also inventory issues, the actual close date is a lot harder to predict, and you probably won't have an exact date for sure until you get a lot closer to the finish line. Oftentimes, some of these contracts are going to say something along the lines of the builder has 2 years to complete this project, even though you're hoping to move in within 10 months from now. Last topic I'll talk about is going to be seller incentives, and this can make a huge difference in the amount of money you spend, both maybe at the closing table or also in the lifetime of your loan. There's a huge difference between what a seller who's just a single homeowner can offer versus a builder who's got hundreds of homes to sell in one community. So for example, when you buy from a resale home, sometimes you can request and negotiate from the seller to pay additional closing costs on top of even covering the title policy. And with that additional closing cost money, say for example you get 10 grand from the seller at closing, you could contribute that towards your closing costs or do your own rate buy down by giving that to the lender to reduce your mortgage rate. Sometimes even some resale sellers will even partner with a lender to offer this, but honestly it is quite unusual to see that unless we are in more of a buyer's market and those sellers are just struggling to compete. The thing is that when you're buying from a builder, the builders can offer some really aggressive, in a good way, aggressive seller incentives. What's really nice when a builder offers you a seller credit or flex cash for the additional closing costs is that if you could put that towards a rate buy down instead of just getting the equivalent amount put towards your purchase price, then ultimately you could be saving thousands and thousands of dollars in the lifetime of your loan just by having a lower rate instead of a lower price point. Overall, I really hope this video is helpful to help you compare and contrast the pros and cons of buying either a resale home or a new construction home here in Austin, Texas. A lot of it just really depends on what you're looking for and what you value most. If it is getting the right deal numbers wise for you, or if it's about being in the right location for your preferred lifestyle as well. So much to think about. Please let me know down below in the comments if this video is at all helpful to you, or if you think I missed anything super important. Thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, I've got a link down below that you could research all of the different new construction inventory properties here in Austin, Texas today. Check that link out. And then also, if you're ready to start buying your home here in Austin or thinking about looking to relocate here, there is a link to book a call with me down below, and I would love to have a conversation, talk strategy and numbers of your particular situation. Other than that, I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for getting this far, and happy house hunting.